From USMB, this is the Christian Leader Podcast.
Kelsey and I went on sabbatical, and after like 4 weeks, we realized, wow, we think about ministry all the time. And almost it was convicting to us on, yes, the church is extremely important, but maybe we're actually elevating the church above what it should be elevated.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Christian Leader Podcast. My name is Matt Ayersman, and once again, so glad to have you with me today. That voice you just heard was Pastor Nathan Ensz. Nathan is a return guest to the podcast. Nathan is the lead pastor of Kingwood Bible Church in Salem, Oregon. And we've got a good and an interesting topic today. Nathan's going to talk to us about sabbaticals, what they are, why they matter for pastors and for churches, and why this idea of rest really matters for everyone, not just pastors. This is an important topic for all of us to wrestle with. Nathan took his own sabbatical back in 2024 after serving for 7 years at Kingwood. And today Nathan's going to share some of the lessons he learned, biblical basis for sabbaticals in the first place. He's really honest with his struggles over identity and what time away from the pulpit did as he was kind of wrestling through that himself. And he also shares some tips for what a sabbatical might look like, both for the pastor stepping away and for the church who is leading in his absence. Now, look, I know a lot of you listening, if you don't work at a church, or even if you do, you maybe have never had a sabbatical, and maybe you never will. And we just want to address that up front. We acknowledge that. But if you're listening to this podcast, my guess is that you do attend a church. Nathan has a lot to say about how a sabbatical really does benefit the whole church, not just the pastor. And again, there are rhythms of rest that we should all probably do a better job of. I always enjoy it every time I get to talk to Nathan, and I think you're going to really enjoy this episode as well. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll get to my conversation with Pastor Nathan Ensz, all about the importance of sabbaticals.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Mennonite Central Committee. This summer, join MCC's School Kit Challenge and help us collect 30,000 kits for kids around the world. School kit packing is a great way to nurture a love of learning in tomorrow's leaders and peacemakers. So plan ahead with your family, friends, Sunday school, or VBS to get packing by August 31st. Learn more at mcc.org/challenge.
All right, friends. Well, I am glad to be back with a repeat guest, back by popular demand, as I like to say. We're back. We're joined today by Pastor Nathan Ensz, joining us from Kingwood Bible Church in Salem, Oregon. Nathan, you've been on the podcast a couple of times before, but the first time it was the Christian Leader Podcast. So welcome, Nathan. Glad to have you back.
Hey, thank you, Matt.
So you've been at Kingwood, I think, since 2017, if that's right. So if people haven't heard you before or aren't familiar, can you just give us a quick recap of you, your family, what life at Kingwood is like, anything that you'd like to share before we dive too far today?
Sure. Yeah, I'm lead pastor at Kingwood Bible Church, and I've served here since 2017, married to my wife, Kelsey. She's been on the podcast before as well.
Yep.
And we have 3 children and 1 daughter-in-law, and we love them all very much. We are getting close to having an empty nest. So our youngest just finished high school, and we're realizing that life is very much right now in transition, and it's exciting, and there's a lot of unknowns. So, but we love where God has us right now, and we love what He's doing right now.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
If people listening missed your first, I think you've been on once or maybe twice before, but you can check out previous episodes if you want kind of more of your story and what life in Oregon is like for you guys.
Right.
A conversation with you last time. So
Yeah.
Well, we've got a great topic today. Today, we're talking mostly about sabbaticals and what they are, why they're important, both for pastors and for the church. And we'll do our best. This is going to be a pretty church-centered episode, but we also want to talk to just anyone else listening, if they're a leader in their fields or even parents, or just the importance of rest. Even if you don't take an actual sabbatical, I think there's a lot of things that we can talk about that's relevant to all of us today. So Nathan, let's just start off. You took a sabbatical a couple years ago in 2024, I think. So let's just start at the very, very beginning, the very basics. What is a sabbatical, and why did you take one?
So a sabbatical comes from the idea of Sabbath rest. And, there's a whole idea of 1 day a week you take rest. And even beyond that once every 7 years you have extended rest. And so that really is kind of the idea behind sabbatical. The last church that I was a youth pastor at, I served for 17 years, and sabbatical was never a practice for
Mm-hmm.
my former church. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have loved it, but it just wasn't really on my radar
Mm-hmm.
because no one around me was taking it. And then I came here to Kingwood, and in the interview process, the elders mentioned to me, "Hey, after 7 years, we would love to talk about a sabbatical."
Mm-hmm.
And so I was intrigued by that and thought, "Oh, that's great," you know. But at that
Mm-hmm.
point, oh, 7 years, that's a long ways down the road, and
Yeah.
you know, so. But then it finally came. I
Well,
was actually at the point where I was. My wife was asking me, "Hey, Nathan, you're approaching 7 years. Do you think it's time to talk to the elders about that sabbatical?" Uh,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I feel like I can make it. I think I'll be okay." Kind of
Yeah.
like that tough part of me that wanted to just like, we'll just like, this is ministry, rah, rah,
Yeah.
let's just keep pressing on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my wife was the one who said to me, "Nathan, if you don't take a sabbatical, you need to be prepared to explain to the church family why I'm not around for a couple months." I
Yeah.
was like, whoa. Because I was like, oh, yes, sabbatical isn't just for me, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually for my family as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And, and that's where it hit me. And so I went rather quickly to the elders and said, "Hey, can we talk about sabbatical?" Uh,
Yeah.
so, and I am so grateful I took one.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who was actually even reluctant on taking a sabbatical,
Yeah.
um, it was huge. It was incredible and an incredible gift from Kingwood Bible Church that they gave me and my family. It was good. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you mentioned this a little bit, but can you remind us? And I'm kind of embarrassed. I feel like I should know this, but the Bible has some things to say about sabbatical and even the 7 year cycles and periods of rest. Can you just remind us? Because this is a biblical idea. So it's kind of the scriptural
Yeah.
backing that might be behind some of this.
Yeah, so I haven't done tons of research on this, okay? So, but
Hmm.
to me, like as far as like pastors taking a sabbatical, like there's no command for a
Hmm.
pastor that, thou shalt take a sabbatical. So
Yeah.
for pastors who serve in churches where that's not the practice, that's okay. And
Hmm.
my encouragement to them is, are you finding ways to rest? Um,
Yeah.
Maybe you don't get a sabbatical, but are you finding time to rest? You are not as important as you would like to believe you are.
Right.
And taking some rest is essential for your health and your family's health. But I think while it may not be a biblical command, I think
Hmm.
it comes from a biblical principle, and that is going back to the creation of the world and looking at 7 days, and on the seventh day having a day of rest. And then
Hmm.
even looking at the Old Testament law and how even the land itself, every 7 years, you give time for rest for the land. And then
Yeah.
even on top of that, like the year of Jubilee, after 7 sevens, you
Hmm.
take a year off as well. And so just this whole idea of rest, it is, I think, based on biblical principle. And I,
Hmm.
I really think there is good reason for this. And I would say ministry is such a unique position that it almost becomes even more essential, I believe,
Yeah.
for pastors.
Well, and that was one of my questions was I know a lot of people, if they
Yep.
don't work at a church, or even if they do, they might
Yeah.
say like, why do pastors need, none of us get a sabbatical? And
Right.
sometimes maybe like a college professor, I think will get a sabbatical, but I think it's mostly like colleges and churches
Yeah.
do sabbaticals. And so some people might say, I work in a factory or whatever. I don't get a time off. Why does a pastor deserve this and not me? But I think
Yeah.
what you just said is that there are some unique things about working as a minister in a church setting that are unique. So what if someone, I don't know if someone said that to you or not specifically, but if someone were to ask you, why is this kind of specifically a church thing?
Well, so I would answer that with two things. One, Kingwood Bible Church was so supportive. My church family, I actually received no criticism for
Mm,
taking the sabbatical, and I would credit the elders, the team of elders. When I took a sabbatical, they said, let's give our church family plenty of time to know about this so that they don't assume that this is like some kind of disciplinary action being taken.
Yes.
And they said, let's make sure that our church family knows that this is something that we celebrate,
Mm.
that I've been in this position for 7 years and we want to honor our pastor for this. And so I actually had a lot of excitement, and I love that. So, but then I have heard, as you have as well, as just as a pastor, like that whole critique on, well, that's not fair. I don't get a sabbatical. That's not how my line of work works. And I do think that there are some differences, and I think the main difference is that pastoring is not your 9 to 5 job. And for me, actually, when I went on sabbatical, I realized how inundated I was by ministry needs that were always on my mind.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, we realized how often we talk about ministry. And part of it's because, like, okay, you leave the office at church, but you are still accessible and people still have needs. And those needs, you don't schedule those needs and say, oh, that doesn't fit. And
Right.
don't get me wrong, there are times where pastors, I believe, need to put the phone down and say, hey, I'm not always accessible, but at the same time, it's a different kind of position, and I do want to make myself accessible to my people.
Yeah.
Because when they have a need, it's not going to be my most convenient time, as
Right.
it's not convenient for them. And those are just some differences I see. Yeah, and again, Kelsey and I went on sabbatical, and after like 4 weeks, we realized, wow, we think about ministry all the time. And that was it was convicting to us on, yes, the church is extremely important, but
Yeah.
maybe we're actually elevating the church above what it should be elevated, and
Yes.
making the church almost God, and making ministry and service God, which sounds so funny, right? Because
Yeah.
ministry is ordained by God. The church is God's idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I can still take something that is extremely good and put it above God himself.
Right.
And that was something that I was having to think through on sabbatical, and my wife was doing the same. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that like identity piece is huge. So I want to come back to that because we'll spend some time talking about that. But something else you said right at the beginning, which caught my attention, and I hear this all the time too, is you were eligible for a sabbatical. Maybe Kelsey thought you needed a sabbatical.
Right.
You were hesitant, right? And I think I guess for most of us, I don't know if maybe it's the identity thing, or maybe it's I don't feel like I need it. I don't know if I deserve it. Maybe I will need it in a couple of years. I don't feel like I need it right now, but I might need it later, so I need to hold on to it. Maybe there's this like the church can't function without me, or there's probably in some circles maybe a little bit of a stigma of that sabbatical is a disciplinary thing, or there's kind of people might think I'm in trouble if I'm not in the office. Walk me through what were some of those things that you were feeling, and how did you kind of wrestle and overcome those things?
Well, Matt, I think you're exactly right. I know for me personally, I told my wife almost every pastor I knew that took a sabbatical, it wasn't good. Like, I'm not sure if that was just my circles, but I knew of so many flops regarding sabbaticals, and that was hard. It was like, oh, so if I go on sabbatical, is my ministry just going to flop? I knew of some pastors that went on sabbatical and they came back and their church said, we actually don't want you here anymore. That's
a real
hard.
fear. Yeah.
And so there's a fear. There can be that fear. There could be a fear of my church family just doesn't need me as much. Or again, that identity piece is huge. At least it's been huge for me. My identity becomes extremely wrapped up in I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
As opposed to I'm a child of God. I'm not always, I'm gifted as a pastor. And so to some degree, I will always be a pastor. But I'm not always going to be a pastor in the sense that I am pastoring right now. And if I have health needs or health issues and all of a sudden God removes me from the lead pastor role, do I lose my identity? I sure hope I don't. But
Yeah.
I could actually believe that I do because my identity gets so tied to what I do. And perhaps that's just being a byproduct of our culture where
Hmm.
we are very linked to what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
those
that's.
those are all things that I definitely had to work through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, since we're there, let's talk about that a little bit more. So the identity piece. I think I've heard people talk about the identity thing more in the last handful of years than I think I have before. Like I think it's something that I think a lot of us are aware of, and a lot of us know what the right answer is, right? Like our identity shouldn't be in our job. Our identity should, like you just said, our identity should be that we're a child of God. But
Yeah.
like, what can you help us understand? What does that actually mean? Like, what did you come to grips with that you felt like was actually helpful? And if someone is in a similar spot, how do we embrace that as a real practical thing and not just something that kind of sounds good? You know what I mean?
Well, I'll do my best to answer that question, Matt.
Okay.
I'm just thinking through personally for me, how my sabbatical was arranged was I was not to attend Kingwood.
Hmm.
I think that was really good. It was really healthy. And it wasn't because I was being shunned and not that at all. It was, you need a break. If you're
Yeah.
here, people will naturally look to you.
Yep.
And so you're not breaking. And so we went to other churches.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think that was helpful. But that also is what helped me confront my identity piece,
Hmm.
where my identity can very much get wrapped up in I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
Everyone sees me as Pastor Nate.
Hmm.
They know me as that. And so having that actually stripped away for a season, my sabbatical was 2.5 months. I think it was helpful because actually taking that which I am tempted to put my identity in, and
Hmm.
and here's the piece, Matt. I was even unaware that I was doing that.
Yeah.
And so
Uh,
the sabbatical actually helped confront me with what I was doing.
hmm.
Because I mean, Matt, we're smart people, like we know so much.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, like, oh man, I was tempted to put my identity
Hmm.
in in my position.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was huge for me to have that just kind of stripped away. And towards the end of that sabbatical, my wife and I came back and we just said, as we return, and we really were excited to come back. And it
Hmm.
has been a joy. We've been back for 2 years, and it's been a joy to be back. But we just said, may we do things a bit different than what we did before.
Yeah.
And may this sabbatical have changed us. And, even having this interview right now is helpful because it's reminding me
Yeah.
um, of stuff. I actually went back and looked at my notes. The very first Sunday that my wife and I came back, we both shared during the sermon time, the message
Hmm.
time. Just we both shared about our perspective and what happened and what God did through us. And so I'm before this interview here, I was just looking over those notes and I was like, oh yes, that's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, God, you did some really cool things on that over that time,
Yeah.
and really spoke to me in some big ways. So, and most of those ways were about my identity.
Hmm.
And Nathan, you are not as important as you think you are,
Yeah.
and the church can do this without you. Uh,
Hmm.
but also then that affirmation of, and Nathan, I have called you to pastor,
Hmm.
and you're going back,
Hmm.
but don't allow this calling to get in the way of my identity as a
Hmm.
child of God. And God's the one who speaks to me. Matt, I've got health concerns and I never know. I'm like, okay, is my health, will I have health issues and will they flare up? And like, okay, God, as long as you give me life and breath and health, I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
But God, you also could easily take this away from me.
Hmm.
And again, do I lose value
Hmm.
because I'm not a lead pastor or
Hmm.
because I'm not a pastor?
Hmm.
No, I have
Yeah.
lost no value whatsoever.
Hmm.
And the sabbatical for me was just having to really wrestle through that So it was
Yeah.
really helpful. Yeah.
And that's one of those things I think it's really good for all of us to think about that. Most of us don't, I don't think, but just
Yeah.
if you were to, yeah, lose your job or your life situation changes, like how would you be okay? And how would you move on? And so let's stay there for just a little bit longer. Like what did you find? It was kind of the rest and the trust in God. Was that kind of the big takeaway? Or tell me more about what you kind of learned and maybe how other people can maybe learn from your experience.
Over my sabbatical, I really enjoyed. We had a lot of rest.
Hmm.
Um, Again, the elders were extremely gracious, probably some of the most gracious elders I've ever heard about.
Okay.
When I presented the day after, my wife came saying, "Hey, be prepared to explain why I'm
Hmm.
not here."
Yeah.
I went to my elders and I put together some thoughts on sabbatical. And I just remember my elders looked at me and said, "Nathan, this looks exhausting." Because
Uh,
I like kind of like put together some bullet points on, hey, here's some things I could do,
yeah.
almost trying to justify why I would take a sabbatical
Yeah.
and what I would do to make up for it. And they were like, this looks exhausting.
Yeah.
And they said, please don't. They said, Nathan, we trust you.
Hmm.
Take a sabbatical. If you ever need to reach out to us over sabbatical, great. But you're not required to check in. You're not required to do X, Y, and Z as far as book studies or, and I
Yeah.
mean, I personally read through, I had a list of some books I wanted to read for personal growth,
Hmm.
but there was a lot of rest and I really appreciated that. And I really found that I needed that. And then the
Yeah.
other piece that we did too that was helpful for us is that we went to visit many churches.
Hmm.
And we chose, for us personally, we chose not to do churches in the Salem, Oregon area. Uh,
Okay.
Not like we couldn't, but
Uh-huh.
I felt like that might raise more questions than what was needed.
Yeah.
So we did churches outside of Salem, but it was great because there were churches I wanted to visit that I never get the chance to visit.
Right.
I love just seeing God working in
Hmm.
many different churches.
Yeah.
And even part of it, I got to fly out to Wisconsin, another church where a former elder of ours called and said, "Hey, would you come?" And he was ordained, and he said, "I want you to be a part of the ordaining process." I'm like, "Hey,
Mm.
I'm actually on sabbatical, so I'm free. Go for
Yeah.
it."
Nice.
My oldest son proposed to his wife and said, "Dad and Mom, can you come out?"
Oh,
And
wow.
he gave us 2 weeks notice, and we're like, you know what? There's actually nothing on the books right now, so yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
There was some beautiful things like that, but
That's
again, seeing
awesome.
the body of Christ and what God is doing, I loved it. It was
Yeah.
so refreshing for me, and I get stuck in this is my world, this is what I see, these are the
Uh-huh.
people I know.
Yep.
It's beautiful, but there's also so much more taking place. And in this case, my sabbatical really helped open my eyes up to that.
Uh-huh.
When you think about it, when else is a pastor going to do that?
Right.
They can't. We
Right.
can. This is our opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, man. And again, you let me just, I think a lot of people have a lot of like practicality questions. So like both on like your end and the church's end. So for those 2.5 months, what did you do? And similarly, what did your church do? Like how did Kingwood go on without you there every day, every week? So let's take one at a time here. So like
Yeah.
walk us through what was kind of like an average day. Did you literally just kind of sleep in and read and kind of hang out? Or it sounds like it was maybe a mix of that and some activity. So what was a normal sabbatical day for Nathan like?
Yeah. Boy, we were on the go quite a bit, but we also tried to pad that time with time, just downtime where we were at the
Hmm.
house
Hmm.
doing not a whole lot,
Yeah,
working in the
great.
yard, doing
Hmm.
house projects, doing some of those honey-do lists, like this is stuff that over the last 7 years we've been intending to do and we never got it done.
Yep.
Uh, the very first 2 weeks, my oldest son graduated from Tabor College, and
Mm-hmm.
so we were out there enjoying time with him. My wife and I celebrated 25 years. We took the three kids on a nice vacation and
Cool.
just were like, hey, we knew it was the last time where the five of us would actually be the five of us. And
Hmm.
so enjoyed going on a cruise and enjoyed life together. So family time was really important for us. Again, we had various people from Kingwood that we knew that are no longer here. I mentioned the one former elder who's out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, went out for his ordination.
Hmm.
Had another guy who was a college member who got married but no longer lives here. And my wife and I said, "Oh, it's on a Saturday because it's a distance away. We typically wouldn't go because of Sunday, but we
Right.
were, of course, able to go." And
Yeah.
that was huge just to be out there and to encourage him and then again my son with
Hmm.
his proposal to his wife, spending time out there, that was great. But then also trying to make sure that had just downtime. We didn't
Hmm.
want to exhaust ourselves. So I would say a typical day back home for me, no, I wasn't sleeping in.
Hmm.
I don't do that extremely well. So
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
um so I was, it was more like, and I do remember waking up, especially the very first few days where I'm not in the office and like twiddling my thumbs and what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what do I do? And what's my purpose? And so yeah, there was some books I read on spiritual leadership
Hmm.
that was good.
Hmm.
Listened to some podcasts, did a lot of yard work. But I honestly also just really tried to rest, and
Good.
I'm gonna just not do a whole lot and try my
Hmm.
best to be okay with that.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
huge. Every
and
pastor I know, I imagine that would be a very hard struggle. Like that's something that it takes real intentionality. It's not going to come super easy to a lot of people. So one thing I've heard from a lot of people is it takes a while to just get used to not going to work, like you just said. And maybe it
yeah,
takes a while to not obsessively check your email or not check the church calendar and see what's going on and where you would
yeah,
be. And so what
yeah.
was that kind of detox process like for you?
Oh, it definitely took time. Yeah, there were those concerns on, is our church okay? I will not forget, we were driving back. We were out in Eastern Oregon for that wedding I mentioned of a former student.
Hmm.
And we're driving along the Columbia River Gorge, and it was a Sunday morning, and we're
Hmm.
like, "Hey, Kingwood's they're meeting right now,"
Yeah.
and we're like, "Let's join online."
Yeah.
And so we go to our YouTube channel and we pull in, like I'm driving and we're listening, and we got like 10, 15 minutes in, and it was great. Everything that they were doing was awesome, and they did
Hmm.
so well. But it was like I told Kelsey, we both looked at each other and were like, we can't do this. Just like, and it is not
Too
because we don't
close.
like our church. We absolutely love our church.
Yeah.
It was like
Uh-huh.
all this does is it makes me start to think
It
about,
pulls you back
what about
in.
this? What
Yeah.
about, all these different
Right.
angles, like what are they going to do about this? And I was like, no, I need to let go. I need to trust that
Uh-huh.
God and His Spirit are moving there and working there, and they
Hmm.
don't need me. I don't need to problem solve. I don't need to
Hmm.
come up with a solution. And that was huge. And so that was maybe part of the detox, I suppose, if you want to call it that,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, okay, it's just this surrender. Here we go, God. I'm releasing this. And Kingwood did phenomenal. So you were asking a bit ago, like, what do they
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
We
Who,
have an
who
associate
preached? Who
pastor.
made decisions? And yeah,
Yeah,
walk us through that.
yeah, yep. Josh is our associate pastor, and Josh does a fabulous job. And he preached 70, 80% of the time.
Yeah.
The elders preached as well. I think we had like one guest preacher come, but Josh, for the bulk of it, he was the one who was like, Josh, you take charge, you lead. He chose the sermon series. I'm like, whatever is on your heart, like whatever you want, you preach
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
And he did a great job. I eventually later came back and rewatched, like I watched everything, not
Uh-huh.
as I need to check over this. It wasn't that at all. It was
Uh-huh.
more, I just want to know where my church family has been as I enter back in. So I
Right.
think those like last 2 weeks of sabbatical, I was kind of preparing for a re-entry. And so
Hmm.
watching Kingwood and seeing where they were at.
Yeah,
But, they Kingwood did really good.
that's
Um,
cool.
so, and I do believe that sabbatical is just as much for them, for
Yeah.
the church family, as
Hmm.
it is for the pastor. So it was just shortly before my sabbatical that I was either reading a book or listening to a podcast, and I heard something that went like this: sabbatical is just as much for the church as it is for the pastor. It keeps a church from growing overly dependent on one person and lets them know that they can make it.
Hmm.
And that really resonated with me, that this isn't just for me. It is for me, but it's not just for me. It's also for my church family.
Hmm.
And, there guaranteed there comes a day where my wife and I will not be serving here at Kingwood. We don't
Yeah.
know when that's going to be, but
Hmm.
guaranteed the day is coming, right? And that's true
Right.
for any church, any pastor. And
Hmm.
it is easy for a church to become overly dependent on one person.
Yep.
And that becomes really unhealthy when that's the case.
Hmm.
And so that is a piece for sabbatical. I think that is good for the church family as a whole, that it
Hmm.
keeps them from becoming overly dependent. And it lets them know that, you know what, we can do this. And we kind of sensed that when we came back. There was people that were like, it is so good to have you back, which was a warm welcome. We love that.
Hmm.
And there was also a sense on, yes, and we made it. We're okay. So
Yeah.
that it was a win. It was a win-win all around.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So when you came back, I'd like to hear more about the re-entry. So you had your detox, now you're going back. Were there some things that like did that time away give you some clarity on, maybe I need to do this differently, or maybe we don't need to do this at all, or maybe this person should have this responsibility instead of me? Was there some of that happened when you got back?
Not a whole lot, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, just to be honest for me,
Yeah,
no,
no,
not a
that's
whole
good.
lot. I think for me, like, so there was no major changes or shifts, but I think it was okay, re-entry. Here we go. Take a deep
Hmm.
breath.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're stepping
Hmm.
back in.
Yep.
And, you know, I think when those moments of crisis came about, or it was like, oh, there's a relational tension here, it was like, okay, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And this isn't my most favorite thing about ministry, but it is also why I'm in ministry. And
Hmm.
so let's step into this and know that we're going to be okay.
Hmm.
And God he doesn't need to use me, but he
Hmm.
chooses to use me. And so there was just a sense of peace on, okay, ready or not, here we go. Let's
Yeah.
make the most of it. Like,
Uh-huh.
let's do this. It wasn't terrible. Which might
Good.
sound funny, but like, the week before I was like, oh man, am I ready to go back? I don't know if I'm ready to go back. This is good. I really like this. But also, we're not intended for sabbatical. Like,
Right,
Sabbath
right.
means that you are working.
Yes.
So, you know, that's like a continuous sabbatical is retirement, and
Right.
I'm not there. So, like, let's jump back in and
Yeah.
let's make the most of this. God has a lot he wants to do through us. He doesn't have to use us, but
Hmm.
he chooses to use us. And so, re-enter with perhaps a slightly different posture, hopefully a bit more humility on I'm not as great as I think I am. And
Hmm.
yet, God, you're still choosing to use me.
Yeah. Man, you just said something I think is really worth going a little bit deeper on. You said something like we weren't made for rest. Like work. I think sometimes we kind of demonize work. We kind of say that it's, we weren't made for this, or it's bad, but we actually were made to work. We were made to work and to rest, right?
Right.
Can you talk about that even like from a biblical or just from your personal standpoint? I think that's really, really valuable to think about.
Yeah. Personal standpoint is I think that a couple of generations ago we were out of balance too much on the work, work, work. And part of that was again, it was more just being a byproduct of culture. You
Hmm.
had to work to survive.
Yeah.
But now in our society, most people are far more affluent, and we have a lot at our disposal. And so we almost over elevate rest and vacation and fancy vacations and doing all of that. And we're like, we think that work is bad. And
Hmm.
that's not the case at all. And so the truth is found, I believe, in the middle on, yes, we're
Yeah.
not only to work, 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 but we're not only to rest, rest, rest. We need both. Both
Yeah.
is what brings about health for us. And yeah, I mean, God intended that we would work for 6 days and work
Hmm.
for, or I mean, take a day off,
Yeah.
and most
Uh-huh.
of us probably take 2 days off. And so, yeah, so re-entry, don't be afraid of the work. Don't be afraid of the ministry
Mhm.
and jump back in. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. And there should be some fulfillment in that because God
Mhm.
created us that way. He
Yeah.
created us to create and to work.
Hmm. Would you have any other thoughts on like just the daily, weekly, annual rhythms we have of like if we're honest, some people probably don't really take a Sabbath. I mean, to be honest, I'm probably in that category. Like it's actually really hard to really unplug for a day. And even if you're not on the clock at work, we have, kids and just life stuff that
Right.
just takes it's hard to actually rest. It's incredibly hard, at least for some of us. So do
Yeah.
you have any what because for some people, again, like we said at the top, some people may not be able to take an actual sabbatical, or even maybe like for you now, you're probably not going to take another one for at least 5 years, right?
Five
So
years at least. That's right.
yeah. So
That's
how
right.
is there something that we can do in our day-to-day life that's helpful so that this doesn't have to be an every 7 years thing? Like what kind of healthy rhythms can we all try to do better at?
Yeah. I think that's great, Matt, because not every pastor is going to receive a sabbatical as
Right.
well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, to me, I think there is, and I believe that each person is different. So it's going to look different for each person, but how are you resting uh,
Mm-hmm.
on a weekly basis? How do you rest? So for the
Yeah.
pastor, that is just work, 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 never puts the
Mhm.
phone down, stays connected all the
Yep.
time. Hang on, that's unhealthy. You
Mm-hmm.
need at least one day every week where you can unplug and it's not self-centering. But it is just simply, I need to refocus. God has made me to rest and I need that.
Yeah.
The church is going to be okay without me. If they need someone, there's other people who can minister. I'm not the only one that should be looking to
Mm-hmm.
meet the every need. So, and then even beyond that, vacation time.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that a pastor has vacation time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, are you using your vacation time?
Yeah.
I knew a pastor that was, I would say, kind of arrogant in his I never used all my vacation time and said that as a like, wow, look at me,
Pride.
like
Yeah.
yeah, there's that pride on wow,
Mm-hmm.
the church should be thankful that I don't use all my vacation time.
Yeah.
And hang on a second, I don't think that you should be so proud of that. You need that vacation time. Take
Yeah.
time to get away.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't think you need that, if you're married, your spouse needs it. If you
Yeah.
have children, your children need that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest gifts you can give us, I think, for the children especially, I'm like, your children, they need you.
Yeah.
And it's a hard calling, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because they get used to, yeah, dad is out a lot, uh,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the nights of the week, there's a lot of meetings and they
Yeah.
don't always happen at convenient times,
Right.
because that's when the rest of the world is working.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is for the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And even thinking beyond that, even thinking beyond the pastor, the lay leader is a lay leader finding ways to rest as well. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that lay leader isn't going to have a sabbatical,
Right.
but are you honoring Sabbath rest? Are you taking
Mm-hmm.
time to rest on a weekly basis? Do
Yeah.
you use your vacation as well?
Mm-hmm. I think if we're honest, I think it is pride. There's kind of like this almost shame around rest sometimes. Like there's this, I can't do that. That I don't know if it's a weakness thing or a point like you've said a couple times, like we think we're more important than we actually are.
Yeah.
But man, like rest is important, and we probably everyone listening could probably do a better job of doing that on a regular basis. So I receive that because I think I'm doing
I'm not trying to speak directly to you, Matt, but
no, but I think I'm not the only one. I'm guessing a lot of people
yeah,
listening are
yeah,
feeling
for
similar
sure.
thing.
And again, everyone's different, and some people need to do a better job at working.
True, very
I
true.
mean, the vice versa is true as well.
Yep.
But there are many people in our culture today that we do take far too much pride in. Look at how hard I'm working. That
Hmm.
makes me more valuable, and
Yeah.
I'm afraid to rest. Shame
Hmm.
on us.
Yeah.
That's not healthy. God is not impressed by that.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
a good word. Okay, well, as we begin to wrap up, kind of two more things I wanted to ask you before we close out today. So, full transparency, I feel like just out of honesty, I need to let everyone know I'm getting ready to go on sabbatical. So this is
Yay!
very relevant to me. And I don't want to make this about me, but so I'll be taking one in September, I think. So, Nathan, just for a minute, indulge me. What would you say to me or to anyone else? There's probably someone else listening who has one on the horizon sometime.
Right.
What else haven't we talked about? Or maybe it's okay if you repeat yourself. For me or anyone else who was actually going to do this, what do you want us to know?
Oh my goodness. Matt, that's really hard. Uh, I was okay, so I was prepped with that, and I just wrote down, Matt, enjoy. Like, I don't want to be too descriptive in like, hey, this is what you need to do. Now, if your church is saying, hey, Matt, here's what we expect, by all means, honor that, you know.
Yes, sure.
But I just hope that you are able to really enjoy, and I hope that you do rest, and
Mhm.
I hope that you don't have too, well, whatever kind of list you have on here's the things I hope to do. I hope it's you kind of saying this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
because like for me, doing yard work is actually restful, which
Hmm.
for most people it's not. But for me,
Right.
I love doing that. So I can actually rest by doing a different kind of work because
Yes.
it's not me mentally trying to work things out, or it doesn't take an emotional toll on me.
Yeah.
Pulling a weed is, oh, it feels good,
Yeah.
I like that, but that's actually restful. So Matt, for you or any um, other pastors who are listening that are considering a sabbatical, you need to figure out for you what
Mhm.
rest actually looks like. And
Yeah.
so I can't say because this is what works for Nathan, this is going to work for Matt or anyone else listening.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's, Matt, I'm so thankful that Rich Point is saying, Matt, we want to honor you by providing a sabbatical for you. That's huge.
Hmm.
And so be grateful. Uh,
Hmm.
you want to honor your church, and in some ways you are honoring them by taking this sabbatical, and so rest well, and then when you come back, be ready to work again,
Yeah.
and give your all for them. This is your church family, and
Right.
for however long you're there, this is where God has you right now, and
Hmm.
you want to honor your church just like they want to honor you.
Yeah.
Uh, so so enjoy it, rest, enjoy your family, enjoy your kids, enjoy your wife, uh,
Hmm.
and I trust it's a good special time.
Yeah.
Matt, I
Well,
look
thank you,
forward to
man.
hearing from you about
Yeah.
how it goes. I'm gonna have to check in with you when it's over.
Yes. I'll give you full permission. I'll give you full permission.
Okay.
I receive that. So that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nathan. And it's funny you mentioned the yard work, the pulling weeds. I can't remember where I first heard this, but something along the lines of if you work with your mind, you need to rest
Yeah.
with your hands. And
Yep.
if you work with your hands, you need to rest with your mind. I think that's
Absolutely.
I think that's true. Like you need whatever you don't do every day,
Yep.
do the opposite. And I think that's usually how you can find some rest. So I fully
Sure.
resonate with that for sure. Well, last thing, I think this will come out like right before gathering, so a lot of people might be packing right now to go to Salt Lake to the gathering.
All right.
I want to give a quick plug. I know you're going to do a workshop about sabbatical, right? Whatever
Yeah.
details you want to share about that?
Yeah. So I wanted to first see where this was going to go, and
Okay.
then try to figure out, okay, how do I take a slightly different spin on this,
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to covering sabbaticals, and I'm kind of curious. I've been told that there's maybe about 25 people who have already indicated that they plan to go to the sabbatical or the
Great.
sabbatical workshop.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great.
I don't know if it's possible. I'll look and see if I can get an idea of, are these lay people? Are they pastors? That might help me know a bit how to structure this time. But I
Mhm.
am looking forward to teaching it because I was someone who was a little bit more on the skeptical side
Yeah.
of sabbatical, and then took a sabbatical and just said, wow, God, this was the best thing I could have done for
Mm.
ministry.
Mhm.
And so I will be leading with that approach, but I am very much aware of those who are like, I don't know about this, don't know if a pastor should be doing this,
Mhm.
or that whole mindset of they don't do that for my work, my line of
Right.
work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So I look forward to that workshop for sure.
I'm sure it will be valuable. Knowing you and knowing even in our time together today, you've got lots of valuable things to share. So, Nathan, this happens every time. We're out of time, and I had about 30 more questions that we could have talked about. Before we go, is there anything else that you want to make sure we share before we wrap up today, or did we get the main points here?
I think we got the main points. I guess I would maybe say this. USMB has done a great job at really appropriately encouraging sabbaticals.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So before Aaron Bach stepped into his role, Don Morris really kind of began to make a push on sabbaticals,
Yeah.
which was helpful for churches to think this through. So I really appreciate that. And I think that USMB is doing some really great things. And this is one of those things that they're doing well. So
Yeah, I agree.
I would just say that there. Yeah.
Totally agree. Well, Nathan, thank you for this, man. Thank you for modeling, rest and sabbatical even for other pastors in our denomination. I think you've done a great job explaining it today. Appreciate your insight. So thank you, and we'll see you in Salt Lake.
All right. Looking forward to it, Matt. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Nathan.
Looking for Christian leader content? Looking for USMB news and resources? Now you'll find it all in one place. Christian Leader and USMB have come together under a single social media home, making it easier than ever to stay connected to the stories, resources, and updates that matter most to Mennonite Brethren churches. From inspiring stories of God's work across our conference to leadership resources, magazine content, and news. You'll find it all at USMB Churches. Don't miss a thing. Follow USMB on Facebook and Instagram today. That's at USMB Churches. One place, one community, one story.
Well, Nathan, once again, many thanks to you, my friend, for sharing with us today. And as we were just talking about, I'm especially grateful for this as I'm getting ready to do my own sabbatical later this year. And I talked to a lot of those notes away from Nathan. I think they're going to be really helpful to me personally. And again, whether you ever take a sabbatical or not, I hope you found some practical takeaways for you and your church as well. One of my biggest things to remember, and I think this will probably be good for all of us, rest is not a sign of weakness. We all need to rest, and work is also good. We need both. We were made for work and rest. And I like the thought towards the end there that we all need to figure out what rest looks like for each of us. What's restful for me may not be restful for you and vice versa, and that's okay. We just all need to do a good job of taking care of ourselves, and that's a really good reminder. So as you're listening to this, I bet a lot of you are getting ready to head to Salt Lake here in just a few days for the Gathering Convention. If today's conversation was helpful or useful or it's something that your church is currently talking about, I'd encourage you to check out Nathan's workshop. I think you'll have even more really helpful things to share for you to consider. So if you're not sure which workshop to sign up for, I recommend Nathan's. All right, one more time, thanks again so much for listening today. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope I'll see a lot of you in Salt Lake. But either way, I'll look forward to catching you next time right here on the Christian Leader Podcast.